Hello and welcome to the last of this 5-session sort of trial balloon run of a modification of Night's Black Agents. This is the Gauntlet Calendar. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him. If you enjoy Night's Black Agents, there's hues to that in many regards in terms of investigative skills and so on. But we've made some changes in terms of resolution on the standard side of skills. We are in the depths of it. Pieces have been put together. Our characters have done some refreshes. Let's get some quick introductions so I know who we have on the table. Carl, let's start with you.
Hi, I'm Paweł, and I'm playing Karl Potch. We both use pronoun he, him. Karl is a wet worker, an assassin slash infiltrator slash the guy who does the wet work. He's originated from Grom Polish Special Forces, and now he's in this shady business. He's usually bald with like a massive beard, always with a rifle, some good old Kevlar vest, and yeah, that's Karl.
And then Peter.
Hello, I'm Paul, he, him, and I'm playing the character Peter Skellen, also he, him. And Peter is pretty much summed up as the man in the van, the sort of techie type character, but he's not adverse to getting on the roof of the van and firing off a few rounds from his Barrett Light 50, if need be. Yeah, that's Peter.
And then Henry.
Hello, my name is Alan. I use he, him, and today I am playing Henrietta Michaels, Henry for short, she, her, who is channeling Orphan Black, because she is a former MI6 cuckoo. She pretends to be other people, and she did that for a country until someone within the service dropped her in it. They think she's dead. She knows there's a vampire conspiracy, and last time she took a pasting.
Absolutely. Two big leads regarding two big people are the things that are on the table. Let me kind of refresh from last time. Let's start with Julia, a biochemist who's been involved in the plot that we've been dealing with so far. You were able to kind of follow back what had happened with him, and he'd clearly been taken, but how that exactly fell out was uncertain until Henry stumbled on that the sort of meetup at the church that had been sent to originally Ozyurt was clearly a setup by some group trying to get a hold of her, and that Julia was there. This led to a chase in the catacombs. It led to both Peter and Karl rushing to assist, and we're in the course of all of this able to put together a number of pieces that these people are from a name that you'd heard before, Carlisle, that he had some connection with the Armenian mafia, that Julia was the person who did the biochemistry, who had some kind of formulation that was being used to initially break the spell of the vampiric hold. Unfortunately, Julia is now dead, but you were able to get from that sort of a point towards what is going on. And I'll come back to that, because the other side of this is Rostami, who is clearly a person in your line of business who's been doing this for a while. When Karl went to check in with Sam Exes, a contact there, and try to follow up with them, got some pushback, but Exes on a mic, a bug that had been planted by Karl, was clearly in contact with someone that you suspected was Rostami, and that information was being kind of passed that way, that they weren't exactly sure who you were, and getting that sort of like clearly Rostami being made nervous by this, and probably would have gotten out of wherever she was, except that Peter used his tools essentially to lock down several blocks in downtown Bucharest, having pinged and tracked the cell phone. And we know that at least at this moment, she is boxed in that area. What you found out is that the whole sort of fall together of this is that there is a crucifix, the Sakura crucifix. It is an old religious relic. It has some kind of weird vial in it with a substance. Supposedly, Rostami, Hulier, the others believe that if that cross can be gotten to Ozyurt, this is a way to permanently break the bond, break the connection between Ozyurt and her vampiric master. Sinclair, I'll come back to that in a second, that vampire is unnamed as of yet. You know his agent, Sinclair, you have him captured, and that's a little sideline that we're going to put off to the side for the moment. You found out about this. You found out that the object has been sent to essentially the National Museum of Romanian History, that it has been hidden there, and that Rostami knows the details on where it is at. At the same time, with the whole rescue by Carl and Peter of Henrietta and you getting out of that, we also saw off-screen people loading into vans and driving off into the night as if something had been triggered for them. And so we take up with the three of you in your vehicle, rushing back into Bucharest from the outskirts, and deciding where you want to go. Who's driving?
Not me.
I'll drive unless Carl wants to.
I can do the driving and talking.
Yeah, sure. Carl it is then.
Okay. So Carl, you're driving. Police presence is up higher around. You actually have to make a couple of diversions because there are some police checkpoints in the city, even outside of that area that has kind of been, what's the word, kettled by the police in the couple of blocks there, thanks to Peter's work. It's clear that they're on high alert, given, a couple of major killings, and maybe word has also come down, from various people dropping money or whatever to keep things on high alert. Certainly, you didn't dispatch all of Carlisle's agents at the church. There are still some who are there. So, what's the plan? Is it to go and get Rostami, or is it to throw the dice and go to the museum?
I take no part in this conversation because I'm in the back of the van, swabbing my face to get rid of the blood and binding up what I think was a kind of I was winged by one of the assailants.
Where is your wound right now?
I think I want to put it at the top of the left arm.
Okay.
Because I can reach that to treat it.
Yeah, you're favoring that. You got that kind of ringing in your ears that comes, and of course, you're driving at night. It's evening, it's dark here, and you got the lights kind of flashing by you, and you can feel yourself kind of come in and out.
And there's probably a pen torch in my mouth so I can see what I'm doing.
So Peter, Carl's
I'm
driving.
going to go with Rostami. I think, I'll explain to everybody that, I locked him down, but that will not last forever. So I think he could give us some last sort of parts of the clue we need go get the crucifix and then take the battle, hopefully, to the vampire.
Yeah, that sounds good. So to understand, is the police presence high in entire city, or are they mainly in the district where the church was and the district where we expect Rostami to be, or are they like all over the city?
So imagine that the sort of the couple of neighborhoods that Rostami are in, like that's really high, like they are locked down. But elsewhere in the city, I mean, the tension is certainly elevated. The police, there's been some suspicious stuff going on in the last few days. There've been some attacks. There's probably now getting some reports of gunfire at the church. So that is generally heightened all over the place, but very high where Rostami is at.
Yeah, it seems like your diversion is working pretty well. The district is locked up tight.
So how do you want to play this? Do you want to try and drive in as close as you can get? Do you want to ditch the car and go in on foot? Do all of you want to go in? Some? You think that you've probably got the ability to maybe do some ping off that phone if you get in that area.
Yeah, Carl probably looks in the back, and Henry, do you wanna go and should we have a chat with Mr. Sam Ezras, who might know a little bit more, because otherwise we will be looking for a needle in the haystack.
I mean, how close have we got in terms of location? We've got an area, but we don't have an address.
Yeah, you have a phone is what Peter used to ping off of, the phone that was used by Axes to talk to Rostami. So they may or may not know that phone has been compromised. They're caught in a couple block area, which kind of narrows it down for you, but you're still going to have to, search out there.
So it seems to me that this is about convincing them over the phone to meet us in some very unthreatening location.
Or we could, how about we leave one person in the van, send two people off in different directions, and we'll try and triangulate down for a more precise.
Oh, can we do that? Is technically, I'm not at all technical, you have to understand. So is that possible?
That's certainly a surveillance spend to do that.
I mean, we can get into the cell towers and triangulate this number, but I'm not sure. Do we know the Rostami number, or do we know Sam's number?
Given that we established that Peter was able to use his abilities to lock that down, I'm going to assume that you have the number.
I will spend from surveillance to get an exact fix, if that's possible.
Well, we got to get people boots on the ground first, but yes. So
Yep.
Are we parking the van a couple blocks away?
Yeah. I think sort of, without having to go through or too much of this cordon, park the van up in a sort of quiet side street. This will act as one sort of tower or one part of the triangulation. And then,
Yeah. I'm not sure if there is subway in Bucharest. I was there. I don't remember if they have subway, but maybe we can casually just use subway if they have like only police on the streets.
Yeah, for a radio signal though, being above ground would help.
Yeah, I know. Just to get to the area so that we don't have to like infiltrate it.
Yeah, my only nervousness about that is the more distance there is between me and that van, the less secure I'm going to feel, because it's fairly obvious we need to leave Peter and the kit he will need to do this in the van. So that means Carl and I are going to go in kind of at 90 degrees from the van.
Yeah.
Get 3 points to triangulate. So I think it's about parking the van in an alley on the edge of the cordon, and then Carl and I walking kind of finding our way into the through the cordon, because we're going to have to go through there at some point.
You will check too when you can hit the ground reports. They have closed the Bucharest metro station that feeds to that area. Essentially, they've got that locked down. And you know, so that people can't get out. They are kind of checking people out, running them through. It's not entirely clear what is happening here. There's still kind of that sort of open security alert. But I don't think there's necessarily a role to get into the cordon. I think that's easy. Now, if I recall correctly, last time I saw you, Carl, you were dressed in a murder suit. So how are you dressed now? What have you swapped into?
You want to borrow the Monsignor's outfit?
I assume that there definitely is a hotel in the lockdown area. So I think we will see in the back of the van, Carl puts on nice suit, and maybe just like browse. Maybe there was some theater performance or some opera, and he puts on a nice suit with a tie, and he will go official, as you know, a tourist visiting, if need be.
And what about you, Henry? You're still down a couple of houses. So you still look a little haggard.
Well, of course, I'm still dressed as the nun who was walked from Czechoslovakia.
Okay.
So I think I will stick with the nun who is, you know, maybe I took it not to be a full wimple, I have to say.
Right. Absolutely.
I think this is modern nun, so it's, you know, cardigan, anorak, and probably, you know, some kind of headdress. I don't know what the technical term is.
Did you have a duplicate? I mean, because you got a lot of blood on the outfit that you had on.
Yeah, I mean,
not just yours, but the people that you hurt, and also Julia.
Yes, including Julia's. So yeah. So what time of day is it?
We're in early evening right now.
I think that at early evening, the bloodstains will mostly be on the anorak.
Okay.
And so what I'm going to do is to turn the anorak inside out, and just wear it inside out.
Absolutely. It'll be good in a pinch. You don't have to make a roll, but if somebody stops you, there may be some questions.
Indeed. And you know, sadly, I stained it with communion wine.
A lot of very viscous communion wine. So the two of you will head in, coordinating with Peter, heading to the points to try and get a fix on this area, to get a sense of where that's at. Tell me, Henry, what are you looking for on the ground? Certainly, you're going to be, you know, following some directions about where to get to in terms of the technical side, but on the street, what's your HUMINT, your observation? What are you looking for? That's for you, Henry.
You're muted.
Sorry, I was away with I was admiring the new cardinal. I think that you know, this is what Henry does in a way. Henry just blends in with people,
Okay.
And so we'll see Henry moving through the crowds, scoping out, you know, where the roadblocks, the barriers have been set up, the temporary barriers by the police, either because they think they're containing or they're protecting. And then it's just, you know, turning left down that narrow alley in the confident belief that one will then at some point be able to turn left again or right again, you know, beyond the barrier. And just, you know, being ordinary.
Why don't you make a streetwise roll? spend for me here? You want to spend off of
Okay.
that, or do you want to reserve those points, those precious points?
Yeah, because I spent a lot down. I will spend one.
Okay.
And I will spend one on from notice to get an edge.
Well, let's hold off on that until you need to use it. Let
Okay.
me give you the situation, what you can see on the ground that will make you alert, and you get in. Certainly people are tense here. I mean, this is Romania. So when the police start locking down sections, neighborhoods, people get very nervous. And so you've got a lot of people. Plus we're talking early evening, so people are trying to get home. So you've got a lot of that going on. But this is also an area where you do have like a hotel. You do have some tourists, so that people upset that way. It is the handful of people that you see moving through the crowd and looking around that are very clearly looking for someone. That says to you that there are some other people here on the ground right now who are likely doing exactly what you're doing.
And there's a kind of I think we dropped a bollock somewhere back there because it seems to me that there's more than us on the ground here. Because of course, though the audience know that people were piling into black SUVs, we don't.
Correct.
So yeah, it's about avoiding them then. So I think that is, tradecraft or streetwise, pace when it takes your choice. I will roll with +1.
Okay, well, let's hold on. What I want to get is, that was sort of you getting the assessment. Let's see what if Carl wants to make a spend, and then we'll kind of roll into the action sequence of this. Carl, you've been given the heads up that there are opposing forces here in the crowd moving around, even as you and Henry are moving to kind of different points of the neighborhood to triangulate the signal and get find where Rostami is at. What would you do?
Yeah, so I think first to respond to Henry on the radio, Carl says, "Yeah, I was doing a little bit of reckless driving to get to you on time, so I hope you can forgive that." Yeah, I think Carl, as we see, he's leaving the van. He has like a printed ticket to Romanian National Opera House. Probably today's concert was cancelled. So yeah, and he just like casually walking the main streets to get to the area and talk his way through the checkpoint. He also has like a printed reservation to the hotel, which is like both tickets are fake, but.
Mm-hmm.
We are good at this. Yeah, so that's Carl way to get there.
So and you're in, and you get told that there are some opposing forces mixing in with the crowd here. So what's your next step, investigatively or action-wise? What do you want to do?
Yeah, I think we see Carl goes to some alley and like puts on some glasses, and maybe we see he's like putting on this like Mission Impossible mask, because they are probably looking for a big bearded guy, but now after he puts on the mask, it like covers the beard with like a little bit a little bit of like a not very nice face, like some scars and stuff like that.
Are you doing a full-on disguise? Do you want to not be identified as Carl? That's my question here.
Oh, you've gone very quiet. What are you doing?
Putting on a mask. Give me a moment. The thing never sticks well. So I'm changing my appearance. I'm really not sure, because I'm not really sure who am I identified which cover is blown, and we see Carl just like browses through his like Alan Nova cover IDs, and he picks the one that matches the mask, and he just like slots this one into his wallet. So I just want to like change my appearance and be Alan Novak that looks differently.
So yeah, I think you are trying to do some operational work here. So I think that's either a disguise, or I'll even say an infiltration role.
Well, I'm clearly using my disguise to get in and not be recognized. So let's go with it.
Okay.
Gosh, it really wants me to. I'm really curious. How can I spend from a tradecraft or forgery to give myself an edge over here?
Well, tell me what it is like spy wise that
I think it's
you
more
have.
like a forgery in this case, because the ID is faked, the tickets are faked. Maybe we also have, I don't know, someone in the hotel to like confirm that there is a reservation for such a name.
Yeah. So make a spend from your technical pool, and that'll give you a 3-point pool to spend towards moving around, infiltrating in the quiet here.
So this is a question, because I have because my maximum is 4. So can I like spend 2 of this and recover my pool by 1 because I get 3 points? Yes.
Yeah, you could. Well, it'll you spend 1 of those points, you get 3 that'll be dedicated towards essentially infiltration or disguise roles. Essentially,
Okay.
put towards
So
that.
can I spend 2 on those 3 points for a roll and 1 to add to my specialist, because I'm going
you
to
can have
disguise.
one that'll be free floating that you can spend on related actions. You don't have to spend it all now, but it can't just go to anything, but it can go to if you need to do follow-up disguise or infiltration. So
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not putting this 1 extra point anywhere. Yes.
yeah, I put it like in a what I usually do is I like drop it next to, like, you've got shrink is not chosen, so I put it like put a 1 there, so you know you've got that.
Sure. Yeah. And I'm spending 2 of those 3 points that I got.
Absolutely, with a +2, this should be fine.
Who knows? It's a 9.
So that's a 9. So you are moving around through here without too much problem. You're not being picked up by any of these people, but I don't think you're also getting any kind of edge in moving around. Does that seem fair?
Yes.
Okay. Let me check in with Peter, and then we'll see what the actionable movement is here. Peter, you've been told about the situation. Right now, Carl is deep in the middle of it, but hidden from sight from these people. What do you want to do?
I'll just come over the radio to the other 2 and say, if you want me to sort of move or assist you guys with maybe a call to the police to move them to another area, just let me know. But I'm just going to sit pretty in the van, tuning in, trying to triangulate this down.
Yeah, I don't think we can afford to have you on the move, or to be honest, if we let these blocks go up, then we may lose Rostami. So I think you need to keep them as tightly kettled as you can.
Yeah, I'll agree. So yeah, I'm not going to be doing too much, but if these guys need some assistance, I'll put it out to them that if they do, I'm more than willing to sort of from the van provide whatever support I can.
And I think cross-referencing Google Maps with the pings that you've got, several of these streets like meet at odd angles. So we've got one of those old style bohemian buildings that kind of meets on a triangle, with the 2 sides. That's a cafe that's in there, a couple of stories tall. it has good view lines out in multiple directions. And that phone is clearly, the signal that you're getting is from there right now. And you can pass that information on. Henry.
I'll say to Carl and to Henry, I mean, do you guys want me to follow up, as in come in, or stick in the van? I'm more than happy to come and assist if need be.
What do you think, Carl?
Well, I'm not planning on shooting Rostami. Where I'm hoping that that both of us are able to convince her or him that we are who we are and that we should work together. So let's go and introduce ourselves. And yeah.
Yep, I'll keep the van warm.
So I know that Henry is moving in towards the cafe. Carl, are you going in as well, or are you hanging back as backup? What's the play between the two of you?
We're coming at this from kind of opposite directions almost, aren't we? So we're having to do this over comms. So
a clarifying question. Do we expect Rostami is in the cafe or in one of the flats in this like building, and we don't know exactly which flat?
Because I'm going to say cafe just because it makes dramatic license sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, plenty of non-combatants wondering where their family and friends are who can't get through the. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, look, I mean, don't we just play this like we played Paris? Which is, you know, I do the talking and you cover, because we know that there's some bad folk out there, don't we? So far, we think they're still on the other side of the barriers, but you know.
Oh no.
Oh, I see. Okay.
With you.
Now, right. Okay. So I think if you keep your eyes open, and I'll do the talking.
Sure. I will grab the table by the window and look on the outside.
And once Carl has gone in, and I'm convinced that that there won't be any, because the tradecraft will tell me whether it would be suspicious for me to come in straight after that. I'm going to go in rather flustered, I think, and just use the flustering to scope out, because I think notice does something like pick up on weirdness, and tradecraft set up meets. I guess what I'm looking for here is, who is my most likely Rostami?
Make a tradecraft spend.
Okay, I will spend 1 from that to get down to 5, and make a best guess.
It's the way they're sitting, the best line of sights in here, the easiest way to move to get essentially like the counter between them people if they had to, the way that their eyes move and don't linger, like they're looking but not looking around, and clearly observing, and they've got a phone there that they're kind of clearly checking updates and that kind of thing, and waiting, like that kind of waiting that says that they know this is a bad situation and they are fully expecting shit to go down.
Okay. Then I think I will buy a cup of coffee at the counter, and then look around. I'm guessing this is near the back of the cafe, so they can see they've got their back to a wall, or they're in a corner.
Yeah.
There's probably that gives them sight down the cafe to the front window where Carl is looking outside.
Get those 2 windows because they kind of meet in a triangle, so they kind of got that vision that way.
And I'm guessing, therefore, that access to the toilets or for staff has to be in a door in the back wall of the triangle.
Yep.
And how much out of my way would I have to go to walk past their table on my way to the toilet?
I don't think too much out of your way.
And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stumble and aim to knock the sugar off her table. Is it a her or a him? Actually, I haven't checked.
Is it her? I actually have to put a picture of Rostami in
let
the.
me see who I'm dealing with here. Oh yeah, Rostami's been in this business a while, and I suppose I'm wondering what she does, because what I want her to do is the human reaction of just leaning down to try and pick it up.
I think that there's maybe a slight move forward, but it's more that her hand on her purse kind of adjusts to probably aim the gun under the table at you.
And therefore I kneel beside her chair and start scooping sugar back into the bowl while I say, I was sent by Pordano. Julia is dead and they're coming for you. Don't look worried. I'm prepared to go with, well, you take your pick. Is that, I mean, flirting, reassurance, putting someone at ease.
Exactly. That's exact. You can tell that this is a person who's on edge.
And in between all of that, I'm saying I'm terrible in Romanian. I'm terribly sorry. I do beg your pardon. Just I'll just put this back in.
Do you? I mean, you want to? If you want to do a 2-point reassurance spend.
Yes.
Okay. Then she kind of see her look at you, and she says, then Pordano told him not to send for backup, but I'm not going to object right now. Tell me how you know Pordano.
And I look at her and say, Mrs. Kovac, you won't remember me. I was tiny when we lived near you. So I will sit next to her, so that we can have a chat about old time's sake. I say, over my shoulder, you'll see a fella who looks like he's got an enormous chin. That he's keeping an eye on the street for us. What do you know about back ways out?
Fortunately, we're kind of boxed in right this moment. There's not a lot of good access way out. There is a back of shop here, but that just goes out to a side door. So we're a little tight in here. I don't know how they kettled me like this.
Okay, I'll tell you what we know, so that I'm hoping you'll tell us what you know, so that if we don't all get out of this, at least the information is in safe hands somewhere.
Is Ozyurt still alive?
We have Ozyurt.
And how much rosewater is left?
Not a lot. So we're on the clock. Julia told me before he died about the cross. He said it was hidden at the National Museum, but he couldn't tell me where. I'm prepared to give you the address for Ozyurt if you know where the cross is hidden.
And you can see her like wrestle with this. She clearly doing that mental calculus. That calculus that says to you, she's trying to decide whether it's worth it to walk away, maybe take the cross and try this again somewhere down the line, or whether it's worth it to risk this on Ozyurt. And she'll say, I really don't give a shit about Ozyurt, in the sense that I just want to know that this can be done. I want to get someone out from under the heel, that maybe we can get some information on Ruthven, and maybe it's a step forward.
Yeah, and where else are you going to find a Renfield in a hurry?
There's
You
an
know,
RF.
this is this. You know, you can hang on to this, Rastami. You can sit on this and keep your fingers crossed that you can get another Renfield.
I will give you the RFID tag for the box. It is at the museum. Unfortunately, it is likely with one of the exhibits right now.
Okay, look, if you can give me an RAF tag, we can track it down.
And she'll say, let me see your phone.
I'll show her my phone.
Okay. And she'll hold out hers. Carl.
Yes.
You see a couple of guys that have kind of stopped outside the sort of Stasi black leather short jackets, and they're having a chat. And you see the two of them turn, big burly guys, and they start walking up towards that cafe. And you are pretty certain that they are not up to any good.
Yeah, I think I raise my my coffee cup and take a sip from it, and at the same time I'm talking to Henry. Buddies on approach, gonna deploy smoke. We have to exit through the back entrance.
Where's the nearest fire alarm?
It's probably, I mean, there's the smoke detector on the ceiling, but there's probably the other fire alarm is probably at the end of the counter.
Okay. I'll say to Rastami, I'll just go and get us some more coffee, Mrs. Kovac. Follow me when I break.
Okay.
And I take the cups over to the counter, and under my breath to Carl.
Ding, ding, ding. We hear the sound of that bell on the door.
And just elbow the fire alarm. And I'm hoping that a significant number will charge out the front door.
So I think there's that startlement when the fire alarm goes off, that sort of moment of like shock and hesitation from people, and the people behind the counter know where the fire alarm is at, so they're looking at you, and there's a hey shouted. Carl, what do you do? There are two big burly guys coming in. Fire alarm's been set off.
Yeah, I guess that depends. Was I like searched? Is it okay for me to have like a smoke grenade, or do I have to like explain why do I have smoke grenade with me here?
If you can have a smoke grenade, but recognize that if you are patted down and have a smoke grenade, that's a risk.
Well, I just need to. The question is, was I patted down on the way here?
You weren't patted down going in.
So it probably means no guns and no smoke grenades. Well, isn't that what preparedness is for? But I couldn't prepare for this.
So right now, I think you've got a choice. If you say to me, yes, I have a smoke grenade on me, it means that you have potential to draw more heat should things go really wrong. Otherwise, if you want to move up on them, I would say that Alan's setting off the fire alarm would certainly give you advantage on any kind of fighting roll if you wanted to do something like that. Or I'm open to other ideas.
I'm empty on ideas today. Yeah, I think I'm totally counting on the guys being like startled because they probably walked in with some idea and now there's fire alarm. They're probably momentarily startled. I just like stand up, try to look as if I am exiting, and then when I'm just like near them, they probably have guns under those cloaks, so it's probably like punch to the throat, grab the gun from under the guy's burly cloak, and then just finish off the other one.
I think this is equal foes, but with advantage. As you kind of step up in between the pair of them to kind of, as other people are getting up, you're taking advantage of that distraction.
Yeah, I guess my second name is Carl the Heater because I'm raising the heat all the time. Yeah, let's roll those dice. I'm going to spend one, see how it goes.
One with advantage.
Yeah, looks like a 12.
12. Deal harm to your foe and suffer no harm. If you want to, you get to choose two. If you give me both of those, I will say that this goes smooth and no one realizes what has happened.
Yes, in this case, I obviously got the other guy by a total surprise. So it's like punch to the throat and then like elbow to the, how do you call it? Pupils? No, pupils are the eyes. Yeah, and then I'm probably able to like knock out the other guy and just like put them in the like sitting chairs.
Yeah, boom, just as you're kind of elbowing your way out, like you want to get out of there in a hurry, one, and then and they are down into the seats as the other people are kind of rushing behind you. So let me come back to Peter. Peter, you have ears on the situation. You have probably a good graph of this. You know that Carl's at the front door, gotten these two people out. You know that Henry's going to move the bag out the side. What are you doing?
Is it drawing much of a police attention? Is it drawing much police attention?
Well, right now, that fire alarm probably will draw police attention. Like they're going to want to find out what's going on there. So they're going to start moving that way. Yeah.
I'm prepared to spend another point of surveillance using the CCTV cameras in the area and also the police radio to try and give these guys an advantage for getting back to the van. So sending them, if I can see the police moving to one alley or in one direction, so I'll use it to route these guys, hopefully giving them an advantage.
I think that's perfect. I think a evasion roll with advantage. So we see, we hear the Bourne music go off as people are running around. They've got that shaky cam there, CCTV footage cut with in between. Carl's moved out that one door. You've moved Rostami out the side, Henry. There wasn't even a pause after you hit the elbow on the thing. You just turned and smooth movement out or back around the counter.
With one variation.
Yeah.
I will be ushering other customers out through the door first.
Sure. So we got that surveillance spend. Henry, you've got the bag, so I think this is your evasion roll.
Okay, so am I with advantage here, did you say?
Yes, you are with advantage.
Okay, evasion. I've got 2 left in physical, so I have to roll +0. No, hang on.
But you have got advantage, though.
I have, yeah. But
0 with advantage, what are the chances that's going to go wrong?
Yeah, no, I'm going to spend 1 from notice, if I may, to spot the opposition, get myself a +3 with advantage.
Okay, you can burn that whole thing on it.
Go wrong.
Yeah, there's almost no chance that this could fail.
Oh, wow.
I have seen it fail. I will tell you that.
That is 9 + 3 is 12.
So tell me what that looks like. What do we see on screen here?
Okay, so you're right. The alarm goes off. I'm dressed as a nun. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to usher the people nearby out, including Rostami at the end of the roll, with me following up last. So it's doing that while keeping a low profile, so that the tall people between me and the front window don't know what I've done. And then it's just, keep going. There must be a fire escape. There must be a fire exit. And then as people spill out into the street, this half dozen or so people will spread out. And Rostami and I will break sharp left, away from that burly fellow on the corner, keeping an eye.
Absolutely. You move past their spotter, you blend in with the crowd. This noise has attracted police, and you make kind of a beeline for the more lightly manned barricade. You've got that voice in your ear telling you, wait, 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 go. And you can make that push with a couple of other people who are like, oh, we can get out of here now, kind of push out through that barricade. Carl, are you following?
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm following at a safe distance.
Okay. There definitely, you'll see now there's that look of the people who are kind of pushing people aside, moving their way through here, looking around like they're trying to spot, what's going on there. Clearly, this fire alarm has gone off. That must be something. So they're headed that way. And you can, I don't know if you want to follow them, or I don't know if you just want to get away.
I want to follow Henry. Those guys aren't really of no interest to us now.
Just leave them be, and you will make a break through the barricades again with Peter telling you the timing, and the three of you can rush through there a couple blocks away. Rastrali probably, you're kind of holds onto your arm and kind of pulls her hand away and sees the blood, on her hand, which kind of tells you just how deadly serious you are, Henry. And the three of you roll up into this, and Rostami kind of collapses in the back of this vehicle and says, "We need to go now."
Commercial break.
Absolutely. Let's take 5. Actually, let's take 10 because I'm making myself a cup of tea. And then we will come back on to the next leg here.
Sure.
Well, that picked up where we left off last time with little slackening of pace. Lowell?
Yep. And no one got shot or stabbed yet.
Or taken by the dark side.
Yes.
Do you think you'll get put in tier 4 on Wednesday, Alan? Or
I think it's quite likely, to be honest. We have a tier with COVID. We have tiers here at Lowell, and 4 is the one that is really a national lockdown, except it's not quite national. And so far, we've stuck at tier 2, but it's going up, particularly the new variant. So, oh, there is Pavel is here.
In the US, it's pretty much just, yeah, hey, maybe you ought to wear a mask.
maybe?
But maybe if you wear a mask, you're going to get yelled at for wearing a mask, depending on where you live.
Home of the free, land of the brave has never been truer.
Do you actually get yelled at if you wear a mask?
In Texas, I know Jason's gotten yelled at. People will call out. My niece went over masked to say hello to her parents on Christmas Eve, and her dad went off about for a very long time on how COVID was a conspiracy and just a hoax, and yeah.
Oh,
so weird.
got nothing to say to that.
Wow. I mean, I didn't think that the Americans were the most sane people in the world, but I didn't think we were the most off kilter, but
truly is the land of the free.
Yeah, I mean, we barely have restrictions that, people are walking around I can consistently say any place I go, there will be people wearing masks with their nose exposed. And that'll be the lightest of the infractions that I see. Anyway, so again, now we see the 4 of you moving through the Bucharest night. Traffic still kind of jammed up, though you didn't create a great deal of heat there. At the barricades, the fire alarm went off. That would be resolved fairly quickly. But we see you with Rostami, and Rostami says, I've given you the RFID. You said that Carlisle is involved with this now?
Yep. We put a bomb under Sinclair, his Renfield, but we've not had a chance to check back on that.
Sinclair's Ruthven's pet, not Carlisle.
Sorry, we've now got a name for what we've been calling Master. Sorry. Thank you for that.
She says, I will tell you how to deal with Carlisle, and then you can stop the car and drop me off, and we will go our separate ways.
That's not quite the way this works, is it? I thought we were going to find the cross and test it on Osiert.
I'm going to leave that in your hands. My part of this is done. I've got other irons in the fire. And if you walk away from this, I'll leave you some contact info. But there's every chance in the world that you're not going to.
Oh, and I have to play bullshit detector on this. Is she telling us the truth here?
Yes.
But I thought you needed to know if this worked.
If it doesn't work, I'll see the evidence later.
News at 11.
She goes, someone always has to be able to walk away from this, or all the lines of these things get cut off.
I suppose that is fair, and she's been doing this longer than we have, so I'm inclined to respect her wishes on this one.
I will If you walk out of this alive, I'll give you what help I can in the future.
Cool,
But-
but like before you walk out from the scar, can you at least brief us on the Pordanos operation? What was the plan here?
So
And why Oziert?
because Azure was a well-placed MI6 agent who had been involved in some things, who had been bitten and had been used by a vampire to do some, she kind of pauses and looks at Henry, had been to do some things within the MI6. And she was one we could get to. Really didn't matter. We needed someone who we could see if this worked. And if it does, she should be out of the vampire's thrall. I'll give you a location that you can get her to get her to more reasonable safe house safety for the future. If this is possible, that means that there may be other ways to break the hold that these creatures have over people. This is what you might call a proof of concept. Does that answer your question? Carl,
Yes.
was it?
Yes. Well, I think since we are so deep, let's finish up this proof of concept.
Yeah. So let me tell you, Carlisle is not like the other vampires. Carlisle's a middleman, a fixer, a creature who runs errands around. He walked out of some things in the late 90s, massacres in Chechnya and elsewhere. Not sure exactly where he came from. He's some kind of revenant. He was in Cairo until the Arab Spring and got pushed out by the rather organized anti-vampire people there. He's more a spirit than he is a vampire. If he is damaged enough, he will move to one of his thralls. The way to stop that is to bind him with some sort of silver. He's a revenant, so he fears the grave. Funeral flowers, cremation dust, coffins, any of that kind of thing are a bane to him. I've heard that if you can bind him in a body and burn it, that will extinguish the spirit. But if you make eye contact with him, he can make it so that you can't see him anymore. And he looks around and he goes, and that does, I've heard that it does work electronically, that it does go through there as well. So be very careful what you do. And if he does get up on you, he's very strong, he will go for your eyes. Just know that. They're the windows to
eyes
his
to
soul.
blind, or eyes to, if we catch eyes, he becomes invisible for us.
He'll try to catch your eyes. And if he gets up on you physically, he will try to drink the eyes out of your head.
Oh, great.
That's how he feeds. Does that seem like a fair trade of info?
As the camera pans to Carl has his like tiny little notebook, just like scribing notes. Yeah, we see like the big letters, Revenant, ways to deal with, and so on and so on.
You kind of pull over, she says, and Julia and the father are dead.
The entire team are dead.
She hands you a phone. This is how I'll contact you in the future, and we'll set up other drops as they're needed. I hope that all of you make it out of this.
Just like one more thing, because I was under strong impression that we were alone and that not many others knew and were fighting the bomb conspiracy. You are telling us that there are others, many others?
There have been many others. I could probably count on my hands and my fingers people like us who are still alive. I don't know who the operatives are in Cairo, but I've heard that they have a better organization there. But that's all I know. And she turns and looks at you, and I've heard that MI6 is fucked.
Well, tell me about that, dear.
That's a lot of people's trails have ended up trying to parse back on MI6 and what's going on there, and those are the people who've ended up dead.
Fuckity fuck.
Well, it gives me some hope to know that there are others who are fighting.
And you'll probably need that hope. And she will get out of the car and essentially walks off and into the night, and kind of, even as she's walking, she's reversing the collar on her coat, the classic stuff. She's pulling out the wig and putting it on, and a passport's just getting tossed in the garbage can, and she's moving on.
And we see her pass through a group of people, and then when they turn left, she's gone.
You have an RFID. You've been told that the cross is in an exhibit at the National Museum of Romanian History. Big, old, classical building. Actually, not that far away from where you're at right now. Maybe 5 or 6 blocks, long city blocks, but still.
And it's probably close to visiting by this time.
No.
Oh.
Because there's a fundraiser going on.
That's really interesting.
Time for the dress-up box, boys.
Yeah, I think we see Kyle like takes out this mask and he's like complaining, "Ouch, ouch, ouch!" as the thing is like pulling out the hair from his beard, and then guys, there is like a meeting. It's open now. Cool. Yeah. I don't have any research, but anything you can tell us about this fundraising operation?
So I think with culture,
what will high society tell me?
High society. This is definitely an upscale exhibit. For these kinds of evening things, they've got essentially the private, like closed parking lot that's fenced open with people, receiving people with invites and going in. They're probably going in a main hall and then to a big exhibit. They have a specialty exhibit they're showing off here for the people. It's called Images of the Underworld, an exhibition of hell. Essentially, classical historical visions of that, and they're showing off those things. Sort of mix of both Eastern Orthodox imagery and Roman Catholic, and all of that, and other historical local flavor things. Probably going to be a group of very highly placed, donors, but then lots of hangers on and so on. So maybe 200 or 300 people, security, but there's also probably catering staff and museum guards and that kind of thing. The whole building isn't open, so there are various wings and things that are probably closed off at this moment. But the section that they're going to be doing this sort of the big show off of exhibition and buffet and all of that are there and available.
Out of curiosity, on this event page, do we see the photos that one of the rooms that is part of the exhibit is the room with all of the crosses, or is it somewhere else?
There's a whole bunch of different sort of religious iconography
Yeah, so it's
spread
definitely there.
out through here. You're uncertain whether the cross is going to be on display or if it's stored away with things there or what.
Yeah.
Peter, I haven't heard from you for a bit.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to go in. I'm going to use my high society background. So, yeah, I still think the Monsignor Cardinal outfit is always good. So
Get a cleaned up one.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with that. So, yeah, I think I'm quite prepared to go in and you know, if it requires some technical skills, I'm thinking it could still be alarmed, maybe. So yeah, I think I'd like to go in.
Yeah, so I think
You
that's
can hide a lot of equipment under that cassock.
So
yeah, I should have gone for the Orthodox hat.
Are you going in as a patriarch or a Roman Catholic?
I'm going to go with Roman Catholicism.
Okay.
Yeah, the original one.
Okay.
The best.
I think there are arguments about that, by the way.
But yeah, you can make that high society spend, and to essentially have for yourself an invitation, if you want to go through, and you can drive the vehicle up, show the invite, and park, and they'll you know. I assume you have a driver.
I suggest that for this to be convincing, the Cardinal should not be driving.
Yes. But essentially, so you have an invite for yourself and effectively a +1. But that does leave some question here.
I think the question is whether Carl goes as the +1 and I wing it myself. You know, I will see, you know, Henry tearing off the blonde wig and getting the red one out, and then, you know, making up the bruising, and clambering into the little black dress that is never far from her hands. So, Carl, what do you want to do? How do you want to get in there?
So I don't fully understand. Do you go as the Cardinal's +1 or not?
Well, I have this move this talent called Makeup Artist. Mark to have your disguise attempt apply to your entire team, allowing you to coordinate appearance and identities. So the Cardinal Secretary, and which is you, and his clerical assistant, which is me. That seems suitably patriarchal.
Yeah. Cool. So.
Or do you want to go the back way?
So I think Carl will take his phone and call his friend Mikhail, because I really need one of those guards to swap suits with me, and I really need to be the guard at this exhibition.
So essentially, you want to use your contact to get yourself your basic change of clothes that Henry can work from.
I want to call my contact Mikhail, who we established is an agent operating from Bucharest, and basically ask him, hey Mikhail, do you have any guys on this private show at the National Museum? Can you like get the guy to swap clothes with me, and I will be the guard for tonight? So I basically
let's have you make a network roll.
How much do I want to wager on this?
You could consider spending from Streetwise, conceivably, if Lowell was agreeable to you know, have Mikhail on call.
I think Mikhail was. We established that he falls under under the tradecraft, like the spy stuff guy. Does it? Can I do it? Can I?
Yeah,
spend?
I'll let you take a spend from tradecraft to do that.
So I get these 3 points. I'm going to use 2 of them and add 1 to operational. Oh no, not yeah. It's network.
This is a separate pool you're using for this. So
Okay, so still 1 in this unallocated.
okay.
I'm so confused today by this mechanic we are using. Let's see how it goes. Oh, it's a 13.
He's like, yeah. Let me call a guy and hang tight where you're at. Okay. You have money on you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Get your cash out. Just give me like 20, 25 minutes.
Sure. Nice knowing you, Mikhail. Next coffee on me.
Yeah. He's still a little gun shy after you kind of told him that you were involved in all that stuff that went down last time. But he's willing to do this for you. And after about 15 minutes, this Romanian security guard kind of walks out and he has a bag with him and he comes over to where you're at. And he looks like he's close to your size, and he will get in the back of the van to essentially trade into his tracksuit.
Yep.
And hand you the clothes and ask for the 1,500 euros.
Yeah, I give him the cash. Ask him about all the important stuff like calls on the because I will be wearing 2 sets of comms, so I need to know their passwords and.
Oh, he's like no. I'll give you clothes. I'm not going to give you my comms. I'm not going to get in trouble that bad.
Okay. How? Well. Okay. Do
you want to lean on him, do a streetwise spend, and convince him that he ought to do this?
I say that. Listen, I thought that this is like a full swap. I need to be the guard. I need to have your badge, your comms. Otherwise they will find me out. Like otherwise we will both get in trouble if they find me out that I'm not wearing comms and I'm posing as a guard. It doesn't make sense.
He's arguing with you. I don't know you from Adam, but if you make that spend on Streetwise, drop a little bit more cash. That will overcome his objection to the risk of like losing his future gainful employment.
I'm making a spend. I think we got like a bag of. I think we found like a bag with like a lot of money for all the Sinclairs. So I probably like give him like a fat stack of euros, like with the
Oh yeah. The stuff you stole from the Vampires Renfield, you just hand that cash off to him. Nothing bad can happen.
Not all of it, but he gets like a.
He'll walk away happy, and he's not going to call and tell anybody that this weirdness happened.
Yeah. Perfect.
So I know how Carl is getting in. So are we still playing the Cardinal and Henry as the assistant?
I think so.
Okay. Then I think we've got one spend from high society. I don't think we necessarily need to do another disguise roll if it's just the 2 of you.
I was hoping just to mark my talent for disguise attempt apply to entire team.
Okay, then it is not only working on you. Then let's have you make that disguise roll. Then it's going to work.
I'm going to burn 1 from high society. Dress the part, no high-ranking persons recognize, mingle. So I'm going to spend from that in
I
order
kind
to
of
get
feel
plus.
like we are burning too much. There was like a spend from a high society, another a spend of a talent and a roll. I think we are burning too much stuff on this.
You know, I'm not going to use many more of these investigation skills tonight, so I'm leaving nothing in the locker room.
Yeah, but basically there was like too much. It's like we roll dice 10 times for the same thing. You should roll one dice, dice one for the same
No.
thing.
In fairness, what Paul has done is to obtain an invitation.
Yeah.
This is about being convincing in the part.
Yeah, and let me say, and fair, yeah, I think what you're saying is actually pretty fair, Pavel. But you know, if you're making the spends and stuff, I'm going to give you the stuff for this. Like if you're pushing all of those buttons and pulling all those levers, you're walking in,
Okay.
and people will think that they know you.
Okay.
You know,
If this goes well, I'm hoping to have an edge, to be honest.
Sure.
So I'm rolling +3.
yeah,
That is 7.
that is 7. So it will go off, and you can get both of you covered. It looks good. You fix a little bit of the work on Peter's Monsignor outfit. You get yourself looking great, and you're going to be able to fade into the background. You're not going to necessarily have an edge in terms of talking to people, but you are going to be able to get in. So let's actually start with the two of you going in, and then we'll get Carl into position.
Well, the Monsignor never carries his own invitation, so I will breeze through and flash the invitation at security, who may or may not be Carl, I don't know, and breeze in. And we begin to do what we do, which is wander, just look at the exhibitions, wave at somebody across the room. They don't know us, but they think they do, so they wave back.
String quartet playing Bartok, over on the side, and we've got the exhibitions, and clearly they are gathering groups of VIPs together for like guided tour of this, moving them out through the sort of exhibition area. This main area as you come in, of course, is in any museum, that big grand main marble hall. They've got the tables set up with the buffet, champagne glasses everywhere. People are talking, photographs are being taken. You come in, some people wave to you, as you say, like they know you, but then kind of turn back, and one of the guys will say, Monsignor, we're just,
Yes, my son.
we're just rounding out another group for the tour. If you and your assistants.
Certainly, I would be interested in seeing these items of antiquity.
And they'll move you over with a group of VIPs, well dressed. They've got nice outfits on, and they're talking. They're maybe a little bit tipsy at this point, and this guide person who's clearly done this a couple of times tonight, their voice is a little hoarse. Will start, walking backwards. All right, why doesn't everybody come with me? We'll start walking through the exhibition, and they start moving you through into this area. They've got it set up chronologically. Everything's done, in dark colors and reds and velvets, and they've got little like holographic fire and things like that. And they've got video displays, and you two will start mingling in through here. Carl, how are you moving back into position? What are you trying to do here?
I think I'm moving in the same usual way, probably where the guards are going out to take a smoke. I probably go in that way. I like put out my cigarette at the trash just at the entrance and get in, just to make sure. Take a look in the mirror just next to the entrance to make sure I look good. And I will probably start making my way toward I envision there is some room where I can check where the item that we need is, like a control. In a factory, it will be a control room. In a museum, it's like, I don't know. I don't have the word for it. Like,
Sure. What's your you have culture?
nope.
This may be a little bit outside of your field. Here, museum may not be your area of expertise, but you start to move that way, and one of the guys who's clearly like one of the senior people kind of looks at your badge and says, "Rusu." He kind of looks at his little pad.
Yep. Yes.
It goes, good. Okay. Well, that explains that. I want you to go to the Lithuanian wing. There should be a couple guys who haven't reported in. If they're back there smoking or whatnot, get them to come back in.
We've all got
Sure.
comms, haven't we?
Yeah.
We're still in contact, so we'll be hearing this. And I wonder whether my bureaucracy would know where this central location, where maybe there are CCTV hub or whatever else is, if Carl can't work that out himself.
I think that's a reasonable spend. If you want to do that, to direct him to the area, probably the front of house of the museum, where they have the security cams and the regular guards.
Actually, I've just realized I've only got 2 left in it to personal. I think I may need to fall back on that. Sorry, Carl, can't help you with that one.
No problem.
So this guy says, "I want you."
Very nice this time of year.
Yeah, says, "I want you to go back and check on that, find those guys."
Sure, of course.
So yeah, he sees you, marks you, notes you in, does that, and then moves away. Assume that he's told you what to do, so he doesn't have to follow up on that at all. So what do you do?
Yeah.
You could try and weasel out of one of your fellows where the control room is. You could go back to the Lithuanian area. You could search around. What do you think?
Yeah, the problem is that I have nothing to convince anyone to help to work with me. Yeah, I guess I would start walking into this direction. Probably like this. I might look a little like I'm lost in this. Like, where's the Lithuanian wing? Like, I'm lost. So I'll probably like ask one of the other guys, "Hey, do you know where to check where to check the item IDs? They gave me the task, like, find where this item is. I don't know where to go with it."
So make a questioning spend.
Sure.
And you'll grab someone who is actually like not one like you're clearly a event hired on for this.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yes.
got one of the look. It says check the item IDs where things are. It says, well, that's not going to be at the security office, and he kind of gestures back and kind of points to.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of see, okay, I'd have to go down this way and up this flight to get to where the cameras are.
Mm-hmm.
He says you'd have to ask one of the curational staff who's on there. They'll have their the pads with the details on that. What is it you're looking for?
I don't know. They just told me to check the number and then just like gave me the number. I guess I will go look for this curator stuff.
Yeah, he says that's curator stuff. That's not security stuff.
Yeah, thanks.
And Peter, you and Henry.
Yeah, I think we've got the other. So we know what RFID tag we're looking for.
Yeah.
So I think I'll have programmed a mobile phone to look for that tag and strapped that to the sort of inside of my cassock. So yeah, if we pass it while we're doing this VIP tour, hopefully I'll get sort of like a vibration go off.
Yeah, I think actually it's probably got enough range that you get to one of these rooms. You see there's another, there's like a tour group and another group of people here as you move in, and that cell phone will go off. You'll hear that, and yeah, it's clearly in this room.
So I'll pass the room details to Carl, and I will let Henrietta know that it's in here. We'll just have to find it in this room.
Henry?
We do have we've had a picture of this, haven't we?
Yes, quite
Yes.
a big cross
So
with the glass vial
yeah.
in the middle of it.
Now,
So-
mind you, she wasn't sure if it was on display, or it was going to be just stored in here, or what.
So, I mean, does this look like a storeroom, or is this on the tour?
This is on the
Or-
tour. You're like on the back arc. You've got to come to the back. It's a medium-sized room. We've got the glass display cases. We've got like some, this is probably the room with the Dracula stuff. So we've got the medieval armor, and all of that kind of thing here. So it's a little bit dimmed. Your tour group has just come in. There's another tour group and some other people here, and you're getting that. They've probably got the sound effects, the woo and all that kind of thing going on, piped in to get that atmosphere in here. But there's a lot of space around where things could be in an exhibition, in a thing, or could be tucked back behind.
Well, then the simple question then is, does either of us notice the cross on display?
Let me tell you that with your notice, you will, on a quick surveillance glance, the two of you glance around, you're not seeing it on display.
I am prepared to spend one to make sure it's not here, if that would be necessary.
Why don't you go ahead and make that notice?
I will spend that notice.
I think what you'll notice is not the cross on display, but you'll see the guy coming back from behind one of the counters with a box. And you see this guy, you're kind of looking around, this guy is kind of looking at you, this other guy.
Have we come across him by any chance?
No, I don't think you've seen him before, not before this.
I am avoiding eye contact, obviously.
Well, I think that's a cool role. You kind of were glancing, you saw that guy, and you kind of looked to see who's with him, and you see this guy who kind of looking over at your way, maybe even sniffing the air a little.
Okay, then I will spend 2 from my remaining operational pool to roll +2. That's a 9.
So I think that you get, and you do that where you avert your eyes so you don't make eye contact with him, but I think it's a little obvious.
I know that he knows that I know.
Yes.
And I say to Peter, don't look over my right shoulder right now. But that's Carlisle. Carl, if you are anywhere near some CCTV, do be careful what you're looking at. And I will give as complete a description of Carlisle as I can.
Okay. Pull
build.
up the picture.
Is he carrying the box, or is somebody else carrying the box?
No, someone else is carrying the box. Let me find this picture.
Okay, I think we need to do something here.
I'm just struggling a bit with what.
Well, I am prepared to make a preparedness roll, and I think I've got a snuff box full of some residue from a crematorium.
Oh, okay. So I think that is a pretty, I think we're going to need a 10+ for you to have that on hand.
I think we will need a 10+ for that. I am prepared to spend 3. So that will knock me down to 2. So here we go with +3. 50-50 chance. And no. I rolled an 8.
So you don't have, I mean, that's fairly rare kind of thing. And you didn't have time to really stop off to grab these things. I think you will, though, realize that, you know, you are in a historical museum. There may be something here that you could make shift, but it may take a bit to do. Does that seem like a fair?
I think that seems fair.
So let's frame the situation again. Museum room, your music going on, the sound's kind of dark lights. They've got glass display cases, all of that kind of stuff around, very Gothic looking thing. We've got your group of tour, maybe 5 or 6 people that have come in, another group at the far side of the room that's another tour group. There are at least 3 exits out of this room. And then there's Carlisle and his men, at least 2, but of course you didn't want to get a good look. One of them has a box that you are suspecting has the cross. Now, Carl, you're probably a couple rooms away from this. And just to set this up, I think as you kind of make a turn through what this Lithuanian wing that you were instructed to go check, I think as soon as you kind of cut through there, you'll get that coppery smell in the air. Like clearly there's been some violence and some bodies tucked away here. What do you want to do, Carl?
I asked over the radio, do we do a scene in the museum, or do we wait for them to leave and do a scene outside of the museum walls?
We've got a whole security team on the premises.
Yeah, I say let's try and hold them here while we try and find something in the museum to assist.
Yeah, but do you want to fight the vampire like with all of the security guards up there and the civilians?
If the security folk on the site can at least do some distraction, I'm pretty certain that the glance I got was at least one of his people carrying the box. They can't be rendered invisible, so I'm inclined to draw attention to them now, unless someone tells me no by the time I count to 3.
I think go with thief. You know,
1, 2, 3. Looking squarely at the guide. Excuse me, should they be carrying that away?
So let's I think this is going to be a roll to, this is going to create a distraction. The question is the level, detail, and effect of that distraction.
I'd like to spend from high society, because I am going to say, I'm sure that the museum director, Mr. Ratchlav, told me no pieces were being moved this evening.
Let's have you make that spend.
I spend
roll.
that down to 1 left on the interpersonal.
Okay.
And I will roll +3.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure which one I'm rolling, but what am I? I'm just. I mean, yeah.
You're spending the
what am I?
+3 off of a theft or.
Well, I suppose that's right. I think I'm just spending that to draw their attention.
Yeah.
And leave it at that.
Oh, just doing the high society spend as a flat grab of attention.
Because I'm not sure which skill I should roll.
This would normally be like cool.
Okay, no, let's roll with cool. I'll roll
okay.
Cool +3. I can't continue to roll terribly low numbers, can I? Oh, do you know, it is possible to carry on rolling quite low numbers. So that gets all the way to 9,
okay,
even with the 3.
So you do that countdown and you do that call out, and I think they do kind of stop there, and the guards are kind of like looking, and the like you of that group, two of them have kind of split off and are moving towards you. But suddenly they're kind of arrested in position, Carlisle and then a couple of his minions there. Even as that is happening, even as that's the situation now, Carl, what are you doing?
Yeah, I use the comms that I haggled from the guy, and I say, emergency, we got some dead bodies on site. I hear some commotion in the room, and I give the room where the guys are. The situation is serious.
And what is your intention? Do you want to just elevate the trouble, or do you want to move to where your companions are? What do you want to have happen?
I think I'll be moving toward my companions. I'm hoping that the premise security will occupy them, maybe engage in a firefight, and maybe we can catch the guy with the box and Carlisle somewhere else and deal with them. I'm hoping that the security will go there and at least start engaging Carlisle's minions or something.
All right. You move that way. That's set up. A couple people coming in that way. And what are you doing while this is happening, Peter?
I'm gonna dislodge myself from Henrietta, and I'm gonna start searching around this Vlad the Impaler exhibition. So possibly use history or culture, or maybe research. I want to find something that could be useful against Carlisle.
Yeah. Give me a spend. History spend.
1 point.
Yeah, 1 point. Tell me what kind of object do you think, or substance or something that would serve as an appropriate bane here? Or are you looking for something silver?
Yeah, some sort of like silver weapon.
Okay. So I think like let's say a silver dagger, since you've been told that, you know, binding this thing with silver is one of the ways to stop it from jumping. And I think with a 1 point spend, we've already got the security distracted.
Oh, how about a silver sort of like an incense chain or something like that?
Yeah, like a
religious
like
paraphernalia,
a brazier, or
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think you can see something with like that, and you can. That's probably a little bit easier to access rather than opening up a display case. You know, you step onto a display and reach up and grab that. And we get that sort of, you know, probably not alarmed there yet. I think what probably raises the alarm is the snapping sound. And where you're at, Henry, you see one of these security guards who was standing there with that group kind of falls to the floor.
And are the security armed?
Most of them are just armed with like taser or baton. They're probably a few with pistols. So yes, one of you're not looking directly at him, but you can tell that figure has snapped a neck and has decided that this is not a time for subtlety.
Well, let's see whether a revenant has any bollocks. I will mark martial arts in order to attack the body, not the head.
Okay. So tell me what that looks like. So imagine it's him.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a couple of people of his minions with him, and another one that's got the case. So there's 4 there, and the 2 that were circling around to get to you. And what do we see?
Well, I think I hear the distinctive crack, the click of the neck vertebrae being dislocated. And without thinking about it, I will throw myself in that direction, spin on my superbly pointed high heels, and drive one of them, the other high heel, into his groin.
And I think there'll be that hit where when your leg comes back and kicks, it is like kicking a brick wall. But you get that 10 plus against the superior foe.
Well, so I get 12 plus
12 plus.
against a lesser foe or group of troops. Alternately, spend this to reduce the superiority of a foe you're engaged with until your next action.
So I think what it is that catches him and throws him off balance. And we see him fly back into one of those armored display cases with a suit, and then just the glass shatters, and he goes, back, hits the ground there, throwing him off balance. Carl, you get to the room and you see this. You've seen Henry rush up to someone, do a spin kick, send them flying into glass, but there are clearly a number of other hostiles in the room that are closing. There are some guards that are freaking out because now there's a dead guard on the ground. There are people starting to shriek. There's a guy with a box. What do you want to do, Carl?
I guess I'm going to draw my my sidearm, and I want to take a position by the case and open fire to eliminate his entourage to only him and the guy with the box, maybe, or even drop the guy with the box.
Sure. Collectively, the pair that are by him are an equal foe. I think we're. Do you want to have this be the advantage, Alan? Do you want to pass advantage to him? Do you think it's a fallout from the 12 plus?
To be honest, I trust Carl to deal with mortals on his own. I have a plan for that advantage.
Then shooting, Carl, combat against an equal foe.
I'm going to spend 2. It's time to go big. It's an 8.
That is an 8. Deal harm to your foe and choose one. Deal more harm, which would eliminate both of them. Suffer no harm. Take or give advantage forward. Shift the edge, reposition the conflict, or some other benefit.
Yeah, I think you said that dealing more harm is required to take them out both. So yeah, that's the thing.
Then there is an exchange of fire there. Like we see that light up, and again, suddenly gunfire, and in a room with glass, bullets are attracted to that. So everything goes shattering up here. And these guys hit the first one sort of mid-body. He collapses back, wing the other guy, and as he's falling, he puts a shot in you. I don't think you would have body armor on at this point.
It's up to you to decide if I can have a Kevlar jacket. So.
Oh yeah, you know what? You spent all the stuff to get here on the guard, and they gave you such a hassle. I think it's fair. So rather than two points, you're going to take a 1 point of damage.
Yes. Do you want me to roll take harm?
No, I'm changing that rule. So we're only doing the take the hit if you take 2 or more harm.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'll take
so
that and kind of stagger back, though.
Yeah. This is probably like a cool exchange. The glass is shattering. I'm like behind this exposition, and I'm like returning fire to drop both of them. Yeah.
No, remember Carl got hit by the vampire and that blasted by Sinclair before you took Sinclair down. This brings us to you, Peter. Suddenly everything has gone up. Noise, spectacle, glass firing, people diving, the lights shattering in here, kind of flickering. We've got probably those like little holographic displays are kind of off and flying around. What do you do?
I think I will charge. I think I'm building up an image here of whenever he's involved in physical combat. It's just this mad shouting charge as I charge towards the vampire with this silver chain, and I want to sort of grapple him with it. As he's staggering sort of up from this display case, I want to sort of lurch sort of onto him and start wrapping this thing around his body from behind.
Absolutely. I think that that's going to be a fighting or athletics roll.
Yep.
And essentially, 10 plus, do it, no complication. 7 to 9, you know what the complication is.
And he's classed as a standard foe currently.
Well, I'm doing this not as a combat roll. You're not trying to do harm. You're trying to bind him up. So we're kind of doing this as a standard overcome right now. What's the maximum you can spend? 3.
I will spend 3. Let's see what we roll. 13. Get in there.
So you rush up. He's starting to get up and he's kind of turned away. So you get up on him. So, you wrap him and move yourself away before you can kind of look back and make eye contact. And he's getting up, but he is wrapped by that silver. And you probably hear kind of a hiss where any of that silver kind of contacts his flesh. It's popping. And you realize he's like 6'3". He's a big guy. And he's kind of pushing himself up, but he is definitely bound. Right now, we've got 2 guards that were on Henry. Henry, can I please have you make a roll to not be shot by the other 2 people?
Do you want to wrap this up in what I was planning to do? Because I'm about to move very quickly.
Let's have you do that. Yeah.
What I want to do is I have a black wrap, obviously, because you don't have a little black dress without one.
Right.
And what I'm hoping you're going to let me do, because flirting covers putting the moves on. So I want to reference my exotic dancing cover as Crystal. And what I want to do is I want to swing the wrap around Carlisle's head while I swing around behind him and hold it in place.
All right.
Or would you like me to do athletics first?
No. So here's the thing. I think that we have additional stakes in this is that there is gunfire coming in on you. So it's an overcome. I think a 12 plus does this magnificently, wraps the head off. You don't take any hits. 10 plus, you're gonna lose one of those bonuses, and so on down the line.
Okay, so I will spend my remaining interpersonal flirting
to
convert my pole dancing career into athletics with a wrap, and this is where I want to use the advantage I previously had.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you advantage with that then.
So roll with advantage +3. That is 9.
So you will rush up and you will get this wrapped on him. But 2 things happen. One is, as you're doing that, there is that moment where you just catch his eye. And there's the weirdest feeling like you're holding nothing once you get that. But then there's that feeling of as the bullet hits you in the shoulder for 2. His head is now wrapped, but I need you to roll take the hit. You are muted.
Thank you. I'm just so excited. So I'm going to roll, and this is plus harm just suffered. So I'm rolling +2.
Yep.
That is a 7. 7 to 9. You choose one. Lose your footing, fall, lose control, drop something important, lose track of someone or something you're supposed to be on top of. Can I lose track of what I don't want to lose? I don't want his head to become uncovered.
Perfect.
If I lose track of someone, will that happen?
I think that if you choose that, you won't lose track of him. You'll have a hold of him.
Okay. I will lose track of someone or something I'm supposed to be on top of then.
you kind of get him and you look and you're like, where is the guy with the box?
Ah, good. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, no, I'll
Because
take
it's
that.
chaos in here now. Got
Yeah.
him wrapped
Yeah.
up. Silver kind of wrapped around the chains, and you see him pulling, and he is strong. He is 6'3", strong, kind of pulling himself up, but now he's got that black mask, pulled over his face. He's still got two guys with guns in here who are following up. Carl, what are you doing?
Yeah. So I want to mark my talent, the nick of time, and basically we see Carl stand up with like a incendiary grenade, and he like takes off the pin. And as Henry is like standing there holding the bind, I just like approach the guy and I just like put the incendiary like behind his suit, the incendiary grenade behind his suit, and I take a step back. I might need to roll for this. I wanna take out a cross. And I wanna start chanting in Latin for like burial something.
I think you have the incendiary grenade. You've got the relic, but I think we're going to still make a physical test for this.
Sure.
Essentially, this is about collateral damage, and whether you can do this to burn him efficiently.
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to spend 3 like there's no tomorrow. I don't know how we will deal with everyone else, but yeah, like there's no tomorrow. And it's just an 8.
I think you and Henry are going to take 1 harm through as this catches. And you're more interested in getting this guy dealt with, right? Than anything else.
Yes.
And I think there is that moment when that hits and it goes off and whoosh, flames. And there are curtains. There are dry paper things here. Suddenly, this room is alight with fire. Both you and Henry are kind of trying to put out this, but again, it's incendiary grenade. It's sticky fire. You're falling back. This guy, he's writhing, and as he writhes and flips on the floor, more of this stuff is flying off and catching fire. But this thing, there's this scream that is just from the grave that is coming up here. Any glass in the next couple rooms is shattering from the sound of that. Peter, what are you doing?
I would like to pull out my cell phone, and I don't know if this falls under preparedness, but I'd like to use digital intrusion. So I'm thinking the scene from sort of like National Treasures, probably about the only good Nicolas Cage film, and that would be debatable, where the sort of museum goes on lockdown. So, I'm great, drop over the doors. I want to try and hold the box with a cross, if it's still in the museum, hold it in here.
I think that's definitely going to be a digital intrusion roll.
Okay. Rolling at +3, I've spent 3. So hopefully nobody needs healing. So a 1 and a 6 +3 gives me 10.
So there is that thing where we see you hit that and security bars go down and start locking out areas. However, at the same time, all the fire alarms are going off and the sprinklers, which are not putting out this fire, and suddenly there is panic everywhere. But we kind of cut to the scene of a couple of Carlisle's guys, and they're running. We see them, one of the guy with the box, another guy, and they're kind of running across that marble floor, and they see that come down, and they look and they start making a break to the left. Henry, how are you doing?
Henry is stumbling away, eating the little black dress as it begins to shrink wrap her.
People are screaming. There's glass all over the floor, water, flames, noise through here.
At the minute, it's most important to me to know that Carlisle is dealt with. So I need to know that that his eyes aren't catching anybody else's at this point, and that the silver is working. Very good. So I think I'm probably taking a fire extinguisher in an apparent aim to put him out while I crush his head.
I think you need to tell me what that coup de grace looks like.
I think it is, braving the flames and just, while spraying up in the air to create cover.
Yeah, a fog of this. There's this thing that hood, the shawl that you put on has burnt, but of course it's burnt and on the flesh there. The flesh is burning. They see the skull beneath the skin. The eyes look up at you. You see this hooked tongue kind of come out, and then and we hear this crackling as the bones catch fire. Carl, what are you doing?
Carl probably like seeing that this is that the situation with Carla is that Henry has it wrapped up, as I would say. I think I would take a look around and see if I notice the guy with the box.
Certainly, your digital intrusion specialist knows where they're at if you want to try and run them down.
Are they like in this room still? Or
No,
did they
they're
move,
out
like,
in
to next
the
room?
main hall with the crowds of people around.
I would probably like look at the cardinal and ask. She's really wounded. Are you going to like keep her alive? Can I go after the other after the box?
That's for you, Peter.
I'm asking Peter if you're gonna look over Henry.
Yeah, I'll go after the box.
So you want to go after the box, and I should like keep watching over her.
Well, no, you're the wet works man. I'll stay with Henry then. I'll do some medic stuff.
Who
You
says
get yourself a
Henry
wake up.
Who's jumped to the conclusion that Henry needs looking after?
How many health have you lost?
It's
all but one.
All but one.
It's a
You
good
are
teamwork.
the
I'm
walking
standing under a
wounded.
sprinkler.
It's a teamwork,
Get
So
yourself after him, Carl. I'll deal with Henry.
the question is, if you drop the security door, do they drop in like all room? Can I get there easily to this main hall?
Certainly, if that guy was able to get to that room, you can get to that room.
Yeah, so I'm going in there, and I'm going to like I want to basically, there are like a lot of civilians. I don't want to like make like an open shooting here. I want to sneak up to the guy with the box, finish him off with a knife, and just like take the box.
That is a fighting roll.
Yes, it is. I'm merely wondering, can I argue that my military science, my experience,
If you can
like
tell me,
mainly
if
with the
you can
crowd.
tell me how it helps, like what is your knowledge, your training in military science, and the knowledge of armed forces tactics and things like that? How do you use that to your advantage here to get up to this guy?
So they teach us how to. So we had a flashback of Carl at his like training school when they are like explaining that it's really cool when you can when you can like sniper a guy or something else. But if the target is in the crowd and you need to get to it, you have to look like the crowd. So we see like Carl takes off like the guard suit jacket so that he's just with the shirt. He looks like he just looks like a person who came in here. And then the instructor is saying as the Carl is walking, and you mingle with the crowd, you approach the target, and then you just like knife them quietly.
Then yeah, you can change that into 3 towards fighting, and if you want to roll with that +3, you can.
Yes, I will. I will do so. It's an 11.
So there is that moment where you walk past. We've seen this in the movies. Pelican Brief is one where there's just a guy standing there, and then you've walked away, you've got the box, and they're collapsing to the ground.
Yeah.
And everyone is still freaking out about the fire alarms. They're freaking out about the doors, and we see you just keep walking out one of these side doors.
Yes, exactly this.
Peter, how are you getting a reasonably injured Henry and yourself out of here?
Well, I think it's time to give Henry some pickup drugs. So I would like to, administer some first aid.
Okay.
But definitely something that's going to perk her up and get her back on her feet reasonably quickly.
Yeah. So I think what we're going to do is, if you want to use your good stuff, that can also just instantly heal 2 harm if you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's use the good stuff.
So there is that boost, and we can see. I mean, you've got your digital intrusion, so you've got control of the doors here. You're probably unlocking those so people can get out from the fire. Head out.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be on the comms saying to Carl, have you got it?
Yes,
Have you got
box
it?
in my case, box in my hand, and we'll probably like see Carl just like somewhere, just like opening the box to see if the cross is actually there.
Yeah, if you had rolled low, that might have been the thing I was going to do to you, but no, the cross is in there.
Yes,
To the van then. So I'll unlock the main sort of front door, as you say, to that massive sort of grand atrium, and those separate small entrance doors, they'll all lift. So the mass crowds can sort of get out, and we'll just sort of sneak in with the crowd, and clearly I'll have her arm around my shoulder, and I'll be propping her up. She's coughing, spluttering, smoking inhalation, that sort of stuff. There's probably quite a few people are, and I'll just get her out, and hopefully by then emergency services will arrive.
We can hear the sounds of ambulances, sirens coming as people are pouring out into their people. Guards are getting people out. And I think it's no problem for the 3 of you to pass through the crowd, leave your car behind, move off site.
Past the sort of emergency services, we'll be coughing and spluttering, and then as we sort of peel along the side of the museum, the walking will become more and more normal. She'll sort of put her arms off me, and we'll just look like a couple of, 3 people just walking down the street as normal.
Yeah, and you can fade into the Bucharest night. Bucharest, which is hot right now. And I imagine that there's going to be a couple of days of real laying low in your future to let things pass over. So are you going to, this is the question, we get back to that original safe house. By this point, Ozurk is up but restrained, so she's been in this room, for many hours when you come back in. Are you going to use the vial that's in the cross or are you going to hang on to it?
We have to do the proof of concept, don't we?
Yeah. So
Yes, but
feed that information back to Rastami.
But do we even know how to replicate the stuff that was in the vial?
My guess is that it's a use once and throw away, but you know, unless there's another cross out there.
This is some kind of weird arcane substance. I think when you take it out and open it up, the smell that comes off of it is abominable. And when you pour it down her throat, she writhes like she's trying to tear out of her own skin for 10-15 minutes before she clearly, like sheer exhaustion, catches up and she passes back out. But you're not sure exactly what it is, whether it's the complexion, whether it's the strain. Something tells you that this has worked, that you have broken the grip of this thing on her.
Does it make sense for us to like leave ourselves, like, I don't know, a few droplets to examine it?
Well, assuming the vial is glass and we've snapped it and poured it into her, we then put the glass vial in an evidence bag and seal it and freeze it.
You've got a few drops of that. You've got a little bit left of the rose water formula, but it's strange, weird stuff. Maybe somewhere in the future you might be able to repurpose that. And I think it's a few days of laying low, and then a few days of figuring out how to get out of Bucharest without the Lupatori catching you and getting her out of there. Does that seem reasonable?
Yes.
And so what was our final shot in this particular mission arc of you, Carl?
I think it's Carl on the phone talking with someone. We hear like a woman's voice on the phone, and he just like asks, "Are you safe?" Yes, it's good to hear. Yes, I'm working on it. We had some small breakthrough. Yes, I love you too. Just like, stay safe and live the life as I told you. Just remember, I died in this base, and you're a widow, and I'll return when I can.
I assume that's done out of the earshot of your companions.
Yes, probably.
And what about for you? What's the last we see of you in this mission arc, Peter?
So I think you see Peter sort of push and return on a keyboard, and then you see those very quick, sort of rapid, sort of like internet image searches as a sort of a worm's gone off looking for artifacts similar to the cross. So yeah, we sort of see that montage of really quick image click throughs.
And then what about for you, Henry?
I'm going to burn Safe House just for completeness. And we cut to what appears to be a wood-paneled country house room. And I'm going to assume that I've spent enough left. I think I've got 2 left in network to have scared up some suitably looking goons.
Mm-hmm.
And it focuses on Henry as Rachel. And she says, "So, Marta, shall we begin the debrief?"
And that's a perfect cut there for us. And that's it for this arc, for this 2-mission arc that we did. If you don't mind, I would like to do a little bit of a stars and wishes since you're continuing on. And maybe we can talk a little mechanical too, just for a minute or two, some thoughts on that. I'll tell you some things I've been thinking about. Do you want to take a break before we do that, or is everybody good to continue on?
Yes, break, please.
Okay, let's take 5 and then we'll come back and we'll kind of do the wrap on that. 5 wounds out of 6.
Yeah, that was a damn close run thing. What? Yeah, I mean, there's 6 doesn't give you much to play with.
Good.
But I think that's probably the way it needs to be to
Yeah.
maintain that thriller edge, to be
Yeah.
honest.
It's one of the things is I chose 6 because that's how many segments they have in the sprawl. That's the other sort of closest thing I could come to. And it's where I took the take the hit roll from, which I'm playing a little bit around with. I have to show you this. So I went downstairs, and of course a package had arrived. So I got my and my.
Oh, very nice.
So been testing those out to make sure they don't look terrible.
Yeah, I've no idea what the postage on that website to the UK is, or whether they have a UK subsidiary.
I assume they have a UK branch. It's just print on demand, but you know, they might have Brexited. I don't know. So
yeah, we can have it, but only in 3 months.
Yeah, oof. I haven't heard anything from the UK companies about what they're doing.
No, I mean, I think that there's a kind of general warning about any Kickstarter at the minute.
Yeah.
Who knows? I think Pavel is back.
Good. So yeah, let's do just a quick stars and wishes, and then maybe talk a little bit about System L. Say some things I noticed, both in terms of how I run and the choices that were made, and some things are going to change. So let's go that sort of same order. Pavel, stars, wishes for today.
Stars to all of the players for all of your creativity. Stars for I really like how Alan and Peter are like. I feel that you guys are much better in this spy genre, and I'm really enjoying with your descriptions and ideas, and I'm having a lot of fun. Thank stars for Lowell for good framing of the stuff and keeping the good pace. Wishes. I'm always having trouble with investigative games.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like we are like at the very. It feels very weird that we have to be told by someone who knows everything, that we cannot like figure it out or something.
No, I think that's fair. We kind of got in a position where you knew where to get the information, that you've been given some, but then getting to the source does give you a lot of information.
Okay.
And that's a pacing thing for me when we, I'll tell you honestly. So I wasn't sure about how long the scenario was going to go. And when we hit that 3rd session of this, and we still had some stuff left over, I had to kind of fold and reframe the last 2 sessions and something. And so, yeah, that was a kludge. I think you're absolutely right there.
Yeah, I wish we could. I wish we could do some more investigation, because I really enjoy action we are having, but I feel like if we want to say that we are playing the games, we should be doing a little bit more of the investigative, not like not so much action.
Mm-hmm.
Wish-wise, I recently commented on another channel that records videos that they didn't have, that the characters in their session didn't had any character, and we played 5 sessions and we know nothing about our characters. We don't know their motivation, who they are. We didn't have a single like personal scene. I think maybe it shouldn't be definitely the main focus, but I wish maybe there's like downtime scenes where we are, I don't know, healing, maybe just to have some discussion, some flavor for these characters, and so that we meet them as people, not as only as operatives and agents.
That's a really good point. And hopefully, like, I'm hoping that now we have, a little more room to run in. Yeah, we can do that. Now that's a really good point.
Yeah, I think that closes my Stars and wishes.
Okay. And Paul?
Yeah, again, great teamwork throughout. Nice of Carl to pick up a lot of the heavy kind of work that really neither myself or Alan characters are designed for. So well done there, Pavel. And Alan, yeah, you bring it every time. So good on you there. Good pacing as always. Lol. Yeah, it was a great arc. 5 sessions, I think, really did it justice. I don't think we'd have been able to play it in much less, really. I think it plays very well with 3 people. 3, 4. Me and Alan discussed. I think 3, it really works really nicely. People get enough screen time. Yeah. Wishes. More of the same. I understand the gumshoe system. I've run it a few times with Cthulhu. It's a good system, and the modifications you made make it even better. Sort of. I don't want to go against what you said, Pavel, but I quite like it that there's not much interpersonal. I think it fits quite well with the nature of the system, and that's the way the system's designed. I don't really need to chat with other characters. I'm happy doing with what I do. I quite like that. That's the way the game is. Not every game we have to play on the Gauntlet needs to be let's sit down and sing Kumbaya with each other. I quite like this. Yeah.
Fair enough. We'll see if we can keep a balance between those positions.
Just go knock on somebody else's door. Don't knock on mine, basically.
Okay. Alan?
Yeah, stars. Again, I think that playing the character, I think that as we went through this, I think the character solidified. So I think there was good role play to the genre. I think that you did need to kind of just get the information out there, but that is kind of the nature of the beast, and it's something, the getting information across, the getting clues across in any investigative game is a bitch for the GM, because even though Gumshoe is designed to, in theory, make that straightforward, if the players do not find the key witness until you're, an hour and a half out, you're kind of stuck with that. So I think you did pretty well, actually. I felt that the scene in the cafe where we finally got to Rastami, all of that setup I thought was really atmospheric, and I think that it did lead to a bit of a kind of blah moment of things we need to know, but I think that's kind of the nature of the beast. And there is something about, with any new system, as a GM, you're always not, did I allow too much? Should it have taken 3 sessions to get as far as the farmhouse? But that's down to us, not you, really. So yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed it, I have to say. It's my first time playing Gumshoe in any variety. I've run it once, but I've never been on the receiving end. So I appreciate the difficulties that you have faced. Wishes. I think that the only thing that's missing from Gumshoe, from Night's Black Agents, is something about what are they? What's I call them anchors, but what are they? There's the person, the place, and the thing.
Yeah. I
think it could be quite neat to try to put that in, because that would give a focus for downtime. I've been tinkering with a Night's Black Agent-esque game for a while, and I've settled at the minute on something that allows you to regain a little bit of stress by describing either some piece of the relationship between you and another character, or between you and your anchor, the person that's important to you, and that might give a bit of mechanical heft, because I think Pavel's right. It's a game that is not designed to actually encourage you to do that. but I think the original anchor and what I can't remember. There are 3 S's.
Yeah. The pillars of stability and
Yeah,
those
yeah.
things. Yeah.
I don't know if there's a way maybe to put that in as a hook to engage, because I know Paul would engage if it had mechanical heft.
I think that's fair, and it is one of the things that in my cutting from original Gumshoe that got left to the side, along with a bunch of other stuff. But I do think that it would be very easy to have contacts that are anchors and people that that you can fall back to tag to do things. I think is a good way to have that, and we definitely would expand the feel of the characters then. Yeah. I really enjoyed running it. It's a great group, problem solvers. Sometimes Sherry and I will talk about play, and she's like, I really enjoyed this session, really enjoyed it, but I'm the only one who wants to solve the problem that's at the table. And so it's always refreshing to have people who like, okay, we know what the problem is. Let's get organized. We're going to play and enjoy ourselves, but we want to solve the issue that's at hand. And we're not going to lose sight of that. So that was a pleasure to run for all of you. Mechanically wise, I'm happy with the numbers right now. Like it felt tense. You were using up your resources, but you weren't completely backed into the corner. And that's what I want, is that feeling. There's some of the talents that need to get tweaked a little in terms of the way that I run to make them have higher value. Like the good stuff is good. It's a good choice, but it also needs to be able to just heal health. If we're not dealing out conditions, then that needs to have other options to it. I would say that's one thing. I'm changing the take the hit just slightly, because I think having to roll take the hit for everything feels like too much, but I want it to be in there as if you take significant damage, you make that roll. And I think that's going to be a shift. The other thing we didn't get to that I definitely want to make sure that we have when we come back next time is we didn't do any chases. And I think chases in a PbtA system are probably the hardest thing to design for in some ways. I've got a thing set up, but I haven't really tested it. So we're probably going to, stress test that on the fly when we get back. Other thoughts on the mechanics, impressions, things you might change, consolidate, switch. Pavel?
From my point of view, I'm not sure if this spending investigative to refresh general, is it like a thing from the Gumshoe or for the...
Yeah, it's called a tactical fact-finding benefit is the way it's put in the system.
Okay, because it felt good that we could do it, but it also felt a little bit weird that we wouldn't completed the mission without it. So it's weird because we didn't do too much investigation, so we had plenty of points to spend to refresh our general abilities. I don't know. It feels a little bit weird. Maybe the general pool should be slightly increased. Like, I think it's 16 points. Maybe it should be like 20 something, but you cannot like refresh and you have to manage with what you have. Or maybe you can like refresh, well, not in the midst of action, but like out of the action. Just like we completed the mission, we wouldn't have completed the mission without it, but it feels a little bit weird to be spending the investigative to do the general stuff.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that fell down on, and in several places, that like here at the end, when I asked you to describe how your military training would apply, that's a thing I need to be doing, like getting some illustration of how that knowledge of those areas assist you in doing a thing, because that's how it's played in Gumshoe. But yeah, I'll certainly keep that in mind, and I definitely need to be better about asking for how is that working.
Yeah. On the note, when we're at it, I have to say that Alan, explaining how your sexy dance training helped you to wrap the guy's head. I mean, it was perfect. It was like, yeah, no more questions there. Yes,
Okay.
it was amazing. But yeah, so yeah,
Okay.
mechanic wise.
I was banking on the experience we know from last time. Lowell understands the way these kind of places operate.
Yeah.
Can I just say, you see, I kind of disagree there, because I think you did. At one point, I traded tradecraft, I think, for observation, and you made me describe how my training at Sarat fed into that. So I think it's a pretty fundamental bit of gumshoe, because you can never be certain, either as a player or a referee, it seems to me now, I'm looking at it from both ends, how many investigation spends you will need to make to get enough to move on.
Mm-hmm.
And you can end up with a lot of them just sitting there. And if there is no way to convert them into action, then they're just going to sit there. So I wouldn't tinker with that myself. I think it's a pretty fundamental bit of the system.
It's worse in standard gumshoe, where you've got those points allocated to specific skills.
Yes, exactly.
As opposed to these categories.
Yeah. I really love that they are assigned to categories. I wanted to say that this is what I really like.
And I think the other thing, I wasn't quite certain when or how conditions were in the frame. Whenever I engaged, I wasn't entirely certain whether the stakes were high enough to get me into conditions.
Yeah, the intent, and I need to remember this next time, is when damage is dealt, rather than necessarily dealing harm, mark a condition, and that can be from my thing, but also that if you take a significant hit, you can say, I'm not going to take those harm points, I'm going to mark a condition instead.
Ah, right.
That's the other option. And I kept forgetting about that. I should have gone, hey, do you want to mark this instead?
Right. Yeah, that I think makes a lot of sense. I think the idea, we kind of did build up a short list of contacts. But I think the idea of being able to invoke contacts, it's a difference, I think, between the original and this, in as much as you spend from your network, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
A network attracts more points for
Right.
that reason. I wasn't certain whether network was now an operational skill or actually an investigative skill. Spend to get or spend to roll.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, in standard gumshoe, it's you roll to have a contact that knows a thing to substitute for another investigative skill. So it's sort of like preparedness for investigative in some ways, if you're doing that, but also for doing things like getting a passport, or getting lamplighters onto the scene, or getting the guard's uniform. Yeah.
And the only other observation I suppose I'd make is that at the start of this, I think you said something like you were more comfortable with Le Carre than Jason Bourne. And I'm afraid that we went full Jason on you.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just us or whether the system encouraged us to do that. I don't know.
I think having reread Le Carre, 6 or 7 of those books in the last couple months, and having watched all of the Alec Guinness shows, and so I realized you to do a Le Carre RPG would be the saddest, slowest game ever.
We would spend a lot of time staring into space, worrying about everything we'd done in our lives.
Exactly. A lot of scenes at a distance, so we see you moving and talking, but we don't hear what's going on, that kind of thing. Paul, mechanical thoughts?
Yeah, I'm quite happy with the investigation and what's being said there. I thought it was okay. On the other side of the character sheet, though, the general side, I get the specialist skills, but I don't really know why there's loads of things listed under physical, and some of them are a bit sort of, a bit washy.
Yeah.
Fighting's quite an infiltration, quite filch, And under operational, you know, do you actually need any of those things? Should the player not just say, I want to do this, and you say, well, that comes out of that pot? Because, you know, I want to talk to some people, you know, I want to coerce some people into doing something, which is quite common in a lot of spy type things. Yeah, I'm still trying to work out which
I'll
one of those
say here, the big lie
the big lie.
the big lie is that I have all these skills listed under physical and operational, but they're really just descriptors to tell you what that pool can be used for, because you don't pick those. The only ones you pick are the specialist ones.
Yeah.
So,
And that's why I thought specialists
yeah.
were nice and tight, but the other ones were, you know,
The other ones are to basically to say, these are all the things that you could do, and here's your pool to do it. So if you have less in it, you know, it's going to represent that you're not as good overall. It is, and this keep in mind, this is consolidated from Gumshoe skills, which is, it's still a bigger skill list than I'd like. But yeah, another pass on this, I would probably like cut a couple of skills each from the physical and operational to tighten that maybe one more layer. Not too much though, because I like having the variety of people to choose their approach in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally okay with physical and operational, you know, as blocks. Yeah, I think that's good.
I think I'd advise against taking them out, because it's fine for us, because I think, well, I mean, Pavel, I don't want to speak for you, but certainly Paul and I think, are very familiar with this genre. And so I think I have an idea of what ought to be operational. But I think the very fact that you've got those 6 things down there illustrates the breadth of operational. So I wouldn't cut them, because if somebody came to this cold, I think they might struggle. For instance, you know, my sense was that Stephen, this was quite a new genre for him.
That was my sense, yeah.
And you know, without that list, I think there's a risk that people are thinking, what do I do? What can I do? So I don't think you'd lose anything by leaving them there.
Okay. Would you change? And this is a question for Paul. Would you change how the specialists work? Do you think those need to be changed?
No, I thought it was good, because that's the one area where you can differentiate characters. You know, not just the points in it, but really, you know, me and Alan cannot do explosives. I think it's good that we can't. You know, we have to get in somebody else for that. Although I do notice that everybody near enough, apart from Stephen, everybody always picks medic. Yeah.
Well, and definitely when we get to play this next time, when we bring in Will to do his character, we'll have him look at this, but we'll also ask everybody, do you want to shift your points around? Now, having seen several sessions of play, everyone will have the opportunity to redistribute those so that we can see how well that works.
One observation on specialist: digital intrusion, mechanics, and disguise have a very large scope.
Yeah.
Explosives, I think, less so.
But explosives does do a lot, Alan.
It does a lot of harm.
Yeah.
Right now,
medic and shrink, I think, are very specific and need to be there. Mechanics, again, probably quite wide-ranging, in as much as you could do a lot to mechanically break into somewhere, mechanically fiddle with the car, mechanically open the bank vault. Explosives, and investigate explosives is working out who blew them up.
Right, and demolitions, I think, is an investigative skill in base Gumshoe. I think I swapped that over. That's a really, I have to think about that, but I think that's a good observation. Is there a way we can fold that in that makes it interesting to have that, but doesn't, make it, I put these points in something that I can't really use that often.
And I think the other thing I'm wondering about is, I know medicine investigative is different from medic, but chemistry is then surprisingly, again, specific. I think that science might be a way to cover more bases.
Oh, interesting. Would that cover then because right now that's covering like forensic science under medicine. Would you lump all that together, you think?
Sorry, no, I'd leave medicine because I think there's a distinction between medicine investigate
Okay.
and medic treat.
Okay. So yeah,
But
so
I think
change
that
chemistry to
seems
science.
narrow.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's a reasonable one to do.
You know, because you could even put biological science into medicine and leave physical science then to cover the rest of the bases conceivably.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. Something like that. Awesome. Thank all of you for what has been 5 dynamite sessions for me to run, and I'm super looking forward to playing with all of you in this next arc. We'll be playing from modified, one of the modules. I'm going to be reworking some of the stuff, but we will be playing with essentially the basic framework of one of those, the Zelazny quartet. If you've looked at the Gumshoe stuff. So I'm excited about that because it has some really interesting set pieces in it. And I will send an email out tomorrow with the setup email for that with Will included on that, and we'll get rolling. Have a great New Year's since that's coming up. And be well, and I will talk with everybody next week.
Happy New Year.
Have a great one, guys.
Is everyone okay with me posting the video?
Yes.
Okay.